What's good, everybody? Back once again, and the NBA draft is in the books. Close it. Uh, so Hornets went ahead, went with Brandon Miller. Everybody had like it was a foregone conclusion as far as like the people in the know, like the people that I was like they already knew. Amongst the Hornet community, it's split. It was pretty much Scoot or it was Miller and to the point that it's like I guess there's like been like some of that like it's like I don't like Miller or it's like kind of Scoot and or it's like man these people dumb they won't Scoot I want Miller or whatever. I didn't think it was going I didn't think that I didn't find what either pick. I said Scoot more so, but I was like but that's because I mean I thought that him playing with LaMelo could work just as much as Miller could work with LaMelo. I didn't subscribe to people saying that their stuff is redundant and you can't have two guards that do the same thing just because I'm like, I think it's weird because I'm like in a lot of cases that I'm like a lot of people on like how they be talking about other teams and stuff like that. Like you have more than one person that can bring up the ball, put people in the offense. Now, yes, like like some teams, like for instance, like the Heat, Butler can do a lot of passing, whereas so does Adebayo. But they don't really have a point guard. Lowry sort of like does it, but they don't really have a point guard. Uh, Denver, I was like it's Jokic and it's Murray. And I guess the point guard was the center, so I was like the center sort of was like it's a little different than the actual point guard. Lakers, it's LeBron or it's Reeves. I was like, so, and so they have Schroeder as well. Like, I mean, like you need multiple people that can handle the ball, and it wasn't that Miller could handle the ball. It was just more that, like, I thought that Scoot way of attacking the basket or doing the mid range shot. I didn't think like his shooting was that horrendous that they made it sound like. Whereas Miller's a better shooter, of course, and he can also drive to the basket as well as Scoot. But I thought that I was like just looking at some of the stuff that I'm like Miller's intensity of like doing things wasn't at the same level as Scoot. But whatever. I was like, that's a totally different thing if like of that argument of like who to fit, what to fit. It doesn't even matter anymore. Miller's a pick. And but I was fine with Miller because I was like Miller, who I was think of is that I'm like I mean I was like I don't think he'll probably be 2-3 somewhere in there. Because my thinking is I'm like okay cool Miller's the pick, go big. That's what we're going. That's what we're pretty much going to do. Where like LaMelo 6'6", Miller 6'9", Bridges is gonna come back after his suspension. He's like 6'6". PJ they probably gonna bring him back. He's like 6'7", and then you got Mark Williams who's 7 foot. But you got a lot of dudes where it's like no matter what you do, you can switch and it's not a problem. It's almost thinking made me think like how Orlando's they've been doing a lot of big guard lineups where it's like Suggs, Wagner, Paulo, Bobo, Wendell Carter. Like I was like, well, Isaac doesn't really play, but you know what I'm saying. They do a big combination. That's what I feel like the Hornets are going to do. Uh, it's going to be interesting to see how they do things with him. If I would like it, I would like him to go ahead and probably start, then leave him on the second unit to try to figure it out all by himself. But you got Hayward and you got Rozier there, so they're going to take up all the minutes. Um, but I think Miller will be very exciting once he really plays with LaMelo. To be honest, because I was like LaMelo is a real like they run the floor. I was like he's always looking for it. He's more of a pass. He can score, but he's more of a passing guard. And having Miller on a trail three or him using his length because he got a crazy wingspan as well. And he got good athleticism. He don't have great athleticism. Like Bridges is the one that got great athleticism. Um, and I was like, I only seen a little. I was like, I only seen a little bit of the Nick, of the Nick Young Jr. dude. I probably don't butcher his name. But 6'5" point guard, and hearing from how everybody was talking about, if he wasn't hurt, he would have probably been in like the top 10 anyway, the top 5, stuff like that. So I'm like, cool. And plus, when LaMelo's gone out the lineup, or if he's hurt, you have another big guard that you can easily put in that spot. And he looked like he's more of an attacking guard as well too. So it's a different look, and that's sort of what I at least like with the draft picks, is that they're different than what we have on the roster. I was like, Miller, while he getting, I was like he could pass the ball pretty decently. I was like, he could get to the basket, but he also could shoot. I was like, you don't really have anybody that's like on that level, especially at that height and wingspan. And with Nick, I was like, you sort of seen how it was like once LaMelo went down. It was just like we only got Dennis Smith, and you got Rozier, but they're all really small guard, and that's sort of the problem. It's too much of a backcourt. Book Knight, I think this sort of ends him really having a chance to do anything, because you pretty much put 2 guards, or at least a guard, in that same spot. Because I was like, they might bring back Dennis or Theo or whatever, but that seems like he's done, I guess. Also, Miller, how he sort of played, I feel like that sort of will throw in how and anything with JT Thor. Like I was like, they're so young that it's almost like you don't want to just shoo them away or whatnot. But there's so many young people, and there's not really enough spots for them. But also, Clifford doesn't fully play young dudes. You know, I'm like, this is the second stint, and this is kind of like, and I'm sort of one of the people that I was like to me, if Book Knight really couldn't get on the court when we didn't have any guards and we were throwing out like a whole bunch of them, then that's sort of end that spell. But anyway, Miller, I was like, I was like, I don't think he's like crazy far off from Scoot. I think he'll be a really good player. What you want is somebody who you want to have the problem of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You sort of want that problem where you're like, man, I got 2 All NBA players. We're gonna give them that's what you sort of want. But I think I was like, even we were low on 3-point shooting, he'll help with that. But I was like, there's still, I was like, this. I was like, I would just rather if he just went into the starting lineup with Rozier and Rozier come off the bench. I'm not gonna do that, and I'm like, this is a backlog of just our guard forwards area. But I was like, root for the kid. I was like, let him go ahead and play, and we'll see how all this goes. I was like, I'm not here with no crazy like scheme or whatever. It's just more talking about, like, since we made the pick, that's who it is. How the rest of the team is going to operate in this situation, and I think we're good. I was like, it is going to be. It'd be nice to know that if he fits into 2 or 3, and what his future spot will be, and then trying to get somebody else in that spot. But also, I also think his defensive potential is also really there. But I was like, when you got like that type of wingspan and you're active, I was like, cause he does seem like he's active. I don't want to make it sound like Scoot was just like this high effort and Miller ain't got none of that. Miller just seemed more like his demeanor just a lot more calmer. But now he'll fit in fine. I was like, LaMelo was good with. It seemed like LaMelo was good with either one. He was friends with like both, but I guess he picked more of like Miller. Fine, whatever. But yeah, let's see how it go and see. I guess who comes out outside of those, because those 2 guys are going to get some type of playing time, and then we'll see how it goes with the rest of the young people. But anyway, I was like, the other draft picks, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if I barely seen highlights of the Nick dude, I haven't seen enough to know about the other people in order to say anything in that regard. But I can talk at least about Nick from like a high guard spot, and it's like, cool. You need something just when LaMelo either need a breather or if he gets hurt again to keep us afloat. But they do sort of need better to do than that. But anyway, that's all I got to say today. And if you liked any this or I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, peace. I'm out.